because I'm seeing some very lovely familiar radiography faces in the room. And I've got educators that are saying to me, you know, the student arrives and I'm telling them what the expectations are for the placement. We're negotiating placement aims and objectives of what they would like to get out of the placement, looking at the boundaries so that everyone knows where they stand. Are there particular policies and procedures that the student has to read to be able to follow and to be able to work within what your context is? So these are quite important as well. So work integrated learning is something that I think we have always just thought about in the health discipline. So in medicine, dentistry, allied health, nursing, we've always had clinical placements as part of the professional preparation degree. But work integrated learning goes beyond that. So work integrated learning is now occurring across a variety of other industries. Work integrated learning units are now springing up in business, in engineering, in IT, in law, music, fine arts, drama. It's really happening everywhere. And as a result of all of the explosion in research in work integrated learning and collaborative partnerships, we're also finding that there's specialist will teams being established at a huge variety of universities across Australia. So places where they traditionally didn't do that, if they didn't have a health focus, it's actually happening a lot more now. And in some of them as well, and this is something I was speaking with Rob Davidson about earlier, and it's something that is contentious in health as well. In some of the settings I was talking about above, like business and engineering, some of the students actually complete internships and they're paid for their work. When they're doing their work integrated learning experience. Currently in New South Wales at the moment, there's a lot of debate, I guess, going on at the New South Wales health level about should the universities actually be paying clinical sites for their students to actually complete placement with you, whether that's in a private setting, hospital, clinic, whatever. So that debate is still currently raging at the moment. What I wanted to do here is show you what we're talking about with the structure of work integrated learning. What we're basically saying is that work integrated learning is a three-way partnership between the university, between the student, and between the clinical centre or the workplace. If you don't have all of those people participating in that three-way partnership, then the work integrated learning experience is not actually going to be beneficial to anyone, and it's not going to work. So what happens is that in a work integrated learning optimal experience, all three parties will actually work together to design and create a learning experience which benefits everyone. All right, so that everyone has input into it, which is really, really important. The students' progress and also their learning outcomes are monitored by the university and assessed by the university with input from the clinical educator and workplace. So where the workplace is fitting into it is you're actively assessing the student on placement and letting the university know and the student know how they are actually going. And then the university is the one actually allocating the overall mark for that unit of study to the student. And as I've said before, a will placement to be classified as a work integrated learning placement has to be a part of a university course. So what this requires is it actually requires all of the different parties to assume definitive responsibilities, to perform specific functions, and to achieve benefits as a result of the involvement. So this is something I really want to touch on because I really do think it's quite important that with the work integrated learning experience, everyone benefits from it. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to keep the workplace actually taking our students if there's not benefits to everyone. That's part of the collegial interconnected relationship. That's very much a focus for us at Sydney Uni, and I know it is for Charles Sturt as well. And all of the other unis as well. So if you're looking at the benefits to all of the different parties, for students I think the benefits you're looking at are fairly obvious in a way. It does allow them to practice, develop and augment their skills and their knowledge base in order to get the necessary skills that are needed to be able to work in the workforce upon graduation. For clinical centres and supervisors, sometimes the benefits aren't often as easily observed because, let's face it, we're all really busy people. We've got really challenging patient loads and very high patient loads, and also added responsibilities. You've either got administrative responsibilities, other staffing responsibilities, training, managerial, administrative, whatever it is. There's a lot going on in your day, and then you have a student arriving as well. So it is easy, I think, we've got to look at this realistically. With everything you've got going on in your day, it is easy to often see students as being just extra work or slowing us down, especially if there's no added financial gain. But all of you have come here today because you like clinical teaching and you love being an educator, so it's not as much of an issue for anyone in this room. But one of the things that we are working on is actually working with clinical centres to find out what are their barriers to taking students on placement, what is stopping them from taking students, and how can we help to support them so that they will take students from us. And that's what everyone is doing at the moment. It's interesting, often when I've asked a clinical educator why they teach students and why they take students, and these are people that I know that love teaching, and you'll often find that there's altruistic reasons that they're talking about. So they'll say, I just love it. I really love teaching them. I love seeing them develop over the course of the placement and knowing that I had a part in that. Some people have also said they feel it's their duty professionally to train future members of the profession, that they should be doing it. But really the benefits go beyond this. So the student can, and often does, add a really demonstrable value to the clinical practice. So that might be assisting with workflow, performing procedures, assisting the team to get their goals done for the day. So especially if you're looking at a more advanced student, they really do have a lot of benefits that they can bring. I just wanted to put this up just to really touch on what the benefits are that are being marketed for work-integrated learning. And then I wanted to get your opinion on which ones you actually think apply to us as radiographers and dentists, because these are things that are out there in the literature and being discussed, but it would be interesting to get perspective. So it's being marketed to the workforce as having the following benefits of a recruitment pathway. So how many people really are taking final year students on placement and are looking at them to determine if that person actually has suitable technical skills and professionalism to work in that practice the following year? So often you're looking at them and thinking, would I give them a job next year? I might have a job going, would I actually take them? Partnerships with universities, I think this is a really important thing because the work-integrated learning experience and clinical placements do bring opportunities for all of you to contribute to curriculum design and to develop essential research links with the university as well. So this is something that, depending on the practice, it might be done, more than other places. But I know in the past, if you look at the Faculty of Health Sciences, when we actually are developing a new program, we're in the process of developing a 4-year undergraduate radiography degree, when we have done a curriculum redesign or redevelopment, one of the first things that we are doing is actually going to the workplace and going to the educators, getting specific input from you about this is what we're planning on doing. What do you think about it? Do you think it's appropriate? Do you think it's enough? Is it not enough? And it's basically helping us to ensure that current up-to-date practice is being maintained. But when we have done this before, the feedback I have gotten from educators is we felt like we had a part in it. Whether we're actually able to, implement everything is another story, but, that is something that's very important. Workplace-ready graduates, I will get to that in a minute, that is a bit contentious in some regards. Fresh ideas and approaches from the students, including them being able to bring recent research studies that they may have read, and return on investment. So this is actually something that came out of Charles Darwin University last year. And I just think, I was reading it and I thought it was really, really interesting about it. And it's just something where, I'm just looking at time, it's something where I would really like to just quickly get you to think about how many of those do you think apply to you, to your practice as either a dentist or a radiographer taking students? Because I think, there might be some of them where you think, no, I don't agree with that. So it's just something I'd like you to think about. How am I going for time, Tanya? Okay. Okay. So what the results have really shown is that, on the whole, students who have experienced some form of work-integrated learning graduate from university with workplace-ready skills. This statement can be highly contentious. It is being endlessly debated in the health arena currently as to whether universities are producing a well-rounded workplace-ready graduate who can successfully practice in a fast-paced modern clinical environment, and whether what the university thinks is workplace-ready matches up with the clinical centre expectations. And that's something that I think is going to be debated for quite a while to come. But it's something that, is a good thing for us to think about as well. I just want to move on just to quickly give you a bit of an overview about work-integrated learning in the Faculty of Health Sciences. So what happened was, in the beginning of 2012, we actually moved from a clinical and professional fieldwork team to a work-integrated learning team. And I think, Andrew was with us when that transition was occurring as well. And the first and the most common thing that we were asked by clinical educators was, what's the difference? Isn't it the same thing? Really, there's no change. And my response to that was usually yes and no. Well, it was yes and no. I'd say yes, in that the core principles of clinical education and adult learning were still there, but no, because the shift was reflecting the changing nature of clinical education, both at the state and national level, and the increasing complexity and components that it entailed. And this is just here, and I'll just go through them briefly because I just want to talk to you about the implications for clinical educators. But the shift was really in response to a variety of factors. So there was increased employer expectations about the skills that our students were graduating with, the desire to apply these principles to professions outside of health, so that is coming from an outside level, increased expectations on the workplace to provide high quality clinical placements and increase placement capacity, so take more students. Knowledge from Commonwealth Government reports that there would be a critical shortage of health professionals by 2020 due to an ageing population and workforce retirements. And expectations that clinical supervisors would engage in educational learning in a formal setting. So we basically wanted to reflect the changing nature of this and, come up with some strategies to assist with that. Just having a look at the government importance of will, and this is something I think that's really important for us to touch on so that you can see where a lot of today is coming from and how everything is fitting together. So work-integrated learning has received a lot of prominence both at the state and national level as a result of a lot of the above-mentioned factors and a lot of things we've been talking about today. So what we basically have is, at the state level, the Health Education and Training Institute, or HETI, which is what has already been discussed today briefly, so I won't go into it in as much detail, but it was established by COAG and was developed to address current issues in the planning, training and reform of the health workforce in Australia. So one of their main objectives is to build the capacity of the workforce, and their... Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry. I was looking at Health Workforce Australia. My apologies. Start again. With HETI, basically, this is an initiative of New South Wales Health. It supports the education and training across all disciplines of New South Wales Health. And in particular, there are scholarships for clinicians to increase their health education knowledge. And they also do provide training programs and short courses as well for clinical educators and student supervisors, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, which are brilliant, by the way. They're very good. And there's the ICTNs as well, which were talked about before, so I won't go on to that. But with Health Workforce Australia, this is the one that was established by COAG and was developed to address current issues in the planning, training and reform of the health workforce in Australia. So one of the main objectives is to build the capacity of the workforce, and there are grants that have been available to sites to increase clinical placement capacity, to encourage innovations in simulated learning, which is a very big focus at the moment, and assisting in the development of integrated regional clinical training networks. So there is a lot going on, which is why you're finding a lot of unis are making that change. This is the bit I would really like to talk to you about, just so you can actually see what we're talking about in terms of some of the things that can be offered. So work integrated learning does demand that we as clinical educators and supervisors have an understanding of adult education and learning principles so that we can adequately support students on placement. So basically, this can be quite challenging to achieve in practice for all of the different reasons that we've talked about. So some of the examples of measures and initiatives that have been developed to assist clinical educators with this. Basically, at the University of Sydney, what we have got is a series of clinical educator workshops that we offer throughout the year that are aimed at beginning, intermediate and advanced clinicians and educators. So basically what we're looking at is providing adult learning and supervision principles, strategies for you to be able to support students on placement. I know I've mentioned before Charles Sturt have done that as well with their workshops. HETI now offer clinical supervision support programs, so they have masterclasses throughout the year that actually assist in supervision of students, and they're doing some in June, which look fabulous. The ClinTeach website, which you're going to hear about more today. There have also been some scholarships to allied health clinicians that HETI has offered, up to the value of $2,000 to assist in funding the cost of an adult education course or degree, which I know quite a few radiography clinical educators have taken up. There's an increase in master's, graduate diploma and grad cert courses being offered, both by distance and face-to-face learning in health professions education. And there's also been some grant applications that have been offered as well, which have been offered by HWA to universities and clinical sites to encourage a collaborative focus between both parties to develop innovative models of clinical supervision. So there is quite a lot that's going on, and I do encourage you to have a look at the websites as well, at the HWA and the HETI, to really get an idea and a sense of what's going on and what is available to you. And to Charles Sturt Uni and Sydney Uni, so that you can see all of the initiatives that both universities have, in addition to the ClinTeach website, to support you as well in your role as a clinical educator. All right, I think I sped it up adequately, Tanya. Okay.
Okay, well that winds up our morning. I do have a task for you at lunchtime, and that's to enjoy your lunch in peace. We will return here at about 1:10, where we will have a launch of the website, and we'll have a little bit of a display on how that works, and invite you to its facilities and point out how it works and what is there. Lunch is provided outside. Please enjoy it, and thank you very much again for joining us so far. And I hope to return afterwards, because we have our workshops. After the launch, we'll divide into our professional groups, and we'll have some workshops, which are very important for us to get to. Okay, so enjoy lunch. Okay. We had a lovely lunch. We're going to, I know that it's habitual to have a bit of a snooze after lunch, but this certainly isn't the time to do that. I am more than delighted together, and speaking on behalf of Andrew and the group of us that hopefully have put together a website that will work well for you. Now, it's a work in progress, but it's more than a baby. It's quite a teenager, I would say. and I hope that you enjoy it. I'm not going to say much more except the brains behind the design, the style, and prodding we stupid academics in getting some content onto this is Jane Iron, and I warmly welcome her to the Lexan to be able to talk to us about the website. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Jane. I'm from B-Side. I'm actually not alone in taking some credit. Our designer, Nick Lockwood, who's not here today, did a lot of work with the look and feel. So I was actually more behind the scenes, but yeah, thank you for the introduction. A few months ago, we were contacted by Tanya to discuss an exciting new project to support clinical educators, which you now know as ClinTeach, with a view to providing the design and the web development part of this project. Over the course of a few meetings, we teased out the brief of requirements and this sort of general look and feel that we needed to provide people with in order to get this up and running, make it easy to use, and make it an accessible tool for the kind of audience that we were trying to target. So we worked closely with the team to design and develop this website, which we're launching today. The brief was, we wanted a website that was user-friendly, clean in appearance, and offered a range of different and clear navigational paths through the content, because hopefully it will be a very content-heavy site at some point. It also needed to have not only a public face, but a secure face for members only. So there will be some sensitive content, ultimately, that might depend on your institution, it might depend on your discipline. So we have set up a members join section, which is free to join, easy to join, and there is a one-step approval process to do so. And it's also meant to be an area where people can discuss. So the secure area was where page comments and that sort of thing, there will be a community. So it's nice to have that secure so we can see who's saying what and keep track of that sort of thing. So this is the website. This is the public face of the website. This is the home page. It is intended to be an introduction to the rest of the site. So for usability, the look and feel is intended to be the same across the majority of the aspects of the site. So you will see join, login. The main navigation across the top will always be there on every single page of the site. The secondary navigation to the main content of the site, that will always be in the same place. So users will always know where they are and be able to navigate through the site as they need to clearly. At any time, you can click on the ClinTeach logo to bring you back to the home page, and that's a general site requirement, usually, so that you can always get back to where you started if you need to. Secondary page, the footer as well will always be on every page. So we have our stakeholders here, but again, we have the same get back to home, about us, contact, and your privacy policy, so that that's available on every page. Now, on the home page, the unique features are this marketing area. So this can hold up to 5 items, which are really intended to highlight recent events, recent news in your field or discipline, forthcoming events that we want you to know about, and basically anything where we want to have something fresh and new on the website to keep it fresh, to keep you coming back, but also to highlight what's new and happening in your field. Sorry. I'm not used to PCs. And this main area, that is because it's a public-facing site, once you're logged in, this will be a different message, because this is actually just meant to tell the average person just coming across this site what this is all about, why they might want to join, and what's happening there. That will be customized once you're logged in for regular users. So it'll be a more membership-oriented area of information. And once you are logged in, we'll see the top left navigation bar, discipline, content, and resources. That's where the guts of the site is. So I've actually logged in. I'm a member now, and I can see this information, which is not viewable for the rest of the world. This is for us. So if you're in dentistry, you actually have access to a fair bit more information than the general public does. Now, at the moment, I'm sorry?
There's a quiz.
We'll go through that in a minute. And a survey later. So this will be fleshed out significantly in later phases as we add more content, but this is password protected. And you'll also notice once we logged in, just a few things change. So you have the option to log out, option to go view your profile, another option to log out, as well as the access to additional content. Your profile, this is just, we don't capture a lot of data about people at the moment, but this is what we'll be asking for when you join. So first name, last name, email, what discipline you're in, and what institution you're from. This will be used in a later phase of the website to offer you information that is specific to your discipline. So we're not trying to find out all your most personal details. We're just trying to figure out how to cater information that is most relevant to our users. So that's a pretty simple thing there. Sounding very Canadian. So again, if we go back to dentistry, on the internal page is what we see. This is the main content area. That'll be offered on every page. And there is just a sub-navigation, just again, to help you get through the site quickly and easily. When you're in dentistry, there are a lot of sub-pages. So this is just to help get through the content without getting lost. Likewise, we have a breadcrumbs feature up there. So you can click on any of the links through the path that you came to get back to where you were. These are all basic website functionalities, but we're just trying to make it easy to find the content and figure out where you are. Let me just go through. Now, I did want to mention all attendee emails and all accounts have been added to the site. So you're already members, your email address has been used, and everyone has the default password of ABC123, all lowercase, all one word. If you forget the password, there's a password reset feature, which you can just say, I've forgotten my password, or you can join again, and one of us will get back to you in 48 hours, we've committed to. Now, another important feature of every page of the site is the provide feedback. I know Andrew and Tanya have been mentioning that we value your feedback. It's a big part of this project. It is just a simple form on every page of the site. You do not need to be logged in to access this. Anything about the way the site works, about the way it's navigated, about the content on the site, we want your feedback, and we'll try to address it in either future iterations, or if there's a problem on the site, we'll fix it as soon as we possibly can. Now, the quiz. Some of the specific functionality that we wanted to offer on this site was development and building community. Now, the quiz was one of the first things that we discussed. And this is, at this point, a quite simple multiple choice option. So you go through, there's a question, and then you can test your knowledge. I don't know anything about dentistry. Oh, and I got the right answer. That's great. Should you get the wrong answer, you can keep going. So it's meant to be fairly simple at this stage. There aren't any marks. We're not recording your results at this point. But when you do get the right answer, you will have the opportunity to go to the next question, where I don't think I'll be quite so lucky. I'll go with that one. No, wrong. Oh, right, okay. So these quizzes at this point, there is one in each discipline. There will be more. I think it is envisaged that there will be different quizzes based on the level that you're at. So we'll have beginner, intermediate, further complexity. As well, we'll be developing the quizzes to have further functionality themselves. So they won't be quite so simple. And ultimately, I think one of the future iterations is we will record your results. So if you get 7 out of 10, we'll record that against your profile. And then you can compare that against the majority of the cohort. So anyone else who's completed that quiz, you can see if you're in the average zone. And in future, perhaps, there will be some sort of CPD certification, and the quizzes will become that much more complex. At this point, they're very simple. It is to get people involved. We want your feedback about this, how you find it. We want ideas about future quizzes to include and how they should work. But that is one way that we've tried to develop some interactivity as well as some development possibilities. So we'll go back to, another way we've tried to make this a more of a community is perhaps in Andrew's section, we have a proposed standards page. I would imagine there won't be just the one. But at the bottom of this page, we have added a comments area so that anyone logged into the site, any members of the site can actually read that, have a think about it, post their feedback, ask questions, basically get involved. And Andrew or whoever owns this particular page of the site will get back involved as well, get ideas from you and bounce content off of each other. This is a very simple feature at this particular point, but again, this is something that might be fleshed out in future. If we get good feedback about this and people are using this, we might turn this into a blog system where you could ask your own questions and ask the community to feedback and just bounce ideas back and forth off of each other. If you're about to publish a paper, you might want to get more ideas and that sort of thing. So again, building community in a safe area that is membership protected. So that's something that can be opened up on any section of the site, and that'll be, you know, whoever posts the data will decide whether or not this is a discussion topic. So there's a fair bit of content on the site at the moment. On the conference area, we've just put up what we had in the program previously, but we will have all the presentation stuff load up there, so they'll be there for download. I'll be uploading some of the photographs that I've been taking throughout the day. And I think we'll be loading the videos up as well. So they'll be accessible for anyone who couldn't make it today, which would be great. Again, we value feedback, so please let us know how you felt, what you think, more ideas. I'm trying to make sure that I've covered everything that is available. The search functionality up here is a simple keyword search feature. It searches all the keywords throughout the site, but it also searches any PDFs or other documents that are uploaded within the site. So when we start to add, you know, more complex information about standards and that sort of thing, you can search for a particular standard and the document will come up ready for download. Again, it'll be a secure area so that it's all, the IP is protected and that sort of a thing. I think I've covered pretty well everything I wanted to cover today. Welcome. I hope you like it. And there's more coming, and we value your feedback. Please let us know. And are there any questions?